Okay, I want you to listen to this dispatch audio out of Columbus, Ohio. It took me hours to find. Tell me what you hear.
That's three, I copy.
Plunder.
Right off in the front and back door, and I look through the windows and I didn't see anybody. Four.
Okay, to me that sounded like the officer was saying he tried knocking on the front or back door and he looked through the windows and he didn't see anything. This it gives me the heebie-jeebies when I think about this. This is an Ohio dentist and his stay-at-home wife. Unfortunately, they both lost their lives tragically. Dr. Spencer Tepe, he's the dentist, and his stay-at-home wife, Monique Tepe, according to the brother-in-law, they were targeted.
My name's Rob Misla.
And I'm trusting this brother-in-law, getting out a lot of information. It was Tuesday, December 30th, 2025, when the tragedy was uncovered. But unfortunately, that first officer who was summoned to that beautiful home in Columbus, Ohio, well, to me it sounds like he's saying, look, I looked through the windows, I knocked on the front and back door, I saw nothing. The thing that really gives me the heebie-jeebies is the couple's two young children. Some people say they were 3 and 1, some are saying they're 4 and 1. Either way, very young children. They were in that home, unfortunately, Tuesday, December 30th, that morning when the dentist, Dr. Tepe, didn't show up for work, and that put, the owner of the dental company on high alert and his coworkers and everything. When they didn't show up, unfortunately, they were ultimately found not alive. The victims of a mysterious crime, and Columbus police are reaching out to the public and asking for evidence. They're narrowing down a timeline. So let's talk about this whole thing. I've been staying up late, but I was up kind of like at least till 2 a.m. trying to track down the dispatch audio, trying to get details, trying to figure out what happened to this young couple. They were just getting started in life. They almost were married 5 years. They didn't even make 5 years because of whomever did this. According to their brother-in-law, they don't know much information, but they believe it was targeted. Now, Monique and Spencer were the young couple that unfortunately were struck down by bullets. That's some information that the police have let out. Parents of 2 young children, I will just say they're 4 and 1 years old. That's the latest update I read in the press. It was just revealed yesterday, or Wednesday rather, that Spencer was shot multiple times, while Monique suffered at least 1 gunshot wound to the chest, at least 1. Does that mean Spencer was the real target, or does that mean generally sometimes in a home the male might be the stronger of the two and, he's the one that's really the threat? Did whomever target this couple, did they really shoot Spencer multiple times because they knew he was more of a threat?
That's three, I copy. Right off in the front and back door, and I look through the windows and I didn't see anybody. Four.
Anyway, that audio gets me. I feel thankful their friends were on top of it, trying to figure out what happened to them immediately. They have good friends. Here's how their friends found them. So Spencer did not show up at his dental office on time Thursday morning. Apparently, he's a pretty reliable, dependable guy. If he were the type to be late or not show up and not tell his employees and, people have to cancel all these appointments, they would probably not have reacted this way. But they reacted like, wait a minute, this isn't like him. He's not here. I'm sure there were probably patients there waiting to get their dental work done, their cleanings and everything. Spencer was not there.
This individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family. Like, he is always on time, and he would contact us if there was any issues whatsoever. And I just don't know how else to say this. Like, we're very, very concerned because this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
He probably, I think, arrives at 8 o'clock. So Spencer and Monique lived in this gorgeous home in Columbus, Ohio, not too far, I see, from Ohio State University, as I understand it, near the Ohio State University campus and near downtown, gentrified area. And that's one of the reasons people have so many theories asking what could have happened to this couple. Anyway, a coworker called police around 9:03 a.m. We do get some of those calls. I don't know if we've had all of the 911 calls released, but they were on top of it like, wait a minute, Spencer's not here. Where is he?
At 9:22 a.m., an officer arrives at the home, reported no one answered.
Now, this is what I believe we just listened to. I'll let you listen to it again. At 9:22 a.m., an officer reported there was no answer at the door and he left.
That's real happy. So I went out from the front and back door, and I looked through the windows and I didn't see anybody.
And I was like, oh my goodness, the 4-year-old, the 1-year-old, they're inside the home with their parents. Did they see their parents? Even though reportedly, according to the brother-in-law, the children may have slept through the crime when it actually happened. I wonder if they ever, I hope they never saw their parents. It's not clear exactly where in the home Spencer and Monique were shot down. There's been a variety of reports, and I'm just trying to dig to what's really true. So that was likely 9:22 a.m. because I searched and searched, looking through all these dispatch and trying to find snippets of dispatch or trying to find the whole thing. And finally, I found that Columbus Police Dispatch. It happened sometime December 30th between 9:54 a.m. and 10:24 a.m. So that officer who sounded like he said, I knocked on the front door and back doors and I looked through the windows, but I didn't see anybody. I think that was in between that time period, just like the timeline is telling us. Now, at 9:57 a.m., the friends, of course, they're not going to leave it at that. Like, oh, okay, they checked on him, but, we still don't know where Spencer is. We still can't get a hold of his wife, Monique. Obviously, this is unusual. The friends were already on their way to the Tepe's home. Good friends, good co-workers to check on them. And of course, they wanted police to return, which I don't blame them. And at the same token, I'm not blaming the police if it sounds that way. I understand, some people are like, why didn't he just, enter the home or break down a door? And of course, police have rules and protocol. You just can't go, busting down a door or doing certain things without a search warrant, without approval from a judge. So, at 9:57 a.m., a man called police. He said he was there at the home and he could hear the children inside.
Several employees of Dr. Tepe continued driving to the house to check on him. At 9:57 a.m., a friend asked for police to return because he could hear children inside of the home.
Some publications say the children were crying. Other, on the actual 911 audio, you hear the guy say, I swear I could hear one yell, said the caller.
I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in.
So several of these co-workers had gone to the home to check on Monique and Spencer. That's when one friend or co-worker called the police back at 9:57 a.m. They could hear the kids crying or doing something, but no one was answering the door, which was probably a good thing in terms of a 4-year-old. I'm not sure how much a child who is 4 knows about, answering the door, but generally parents tell their kids, don't open that door, let mommy and daddy do that. So anyway, minutes later, that caller called back and said he could see Spencer's body inside the home near a bed.
There's a body. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood.
And I was thinking, wait, why didn't that first officer see Spencer's body? And where? I believe it's 3 levels, the way I've looked at the beautiful home. I think it's 3 levels. We'll look at a description in a bit. And I was like, wait, why didn't the officer see Spencer's body near a bed? Why didn't the officer hear the children? So I thought, okay, if the friends went to check like they did, were they calling out the names of the children? Especially the 4-year-old, of course. And is that one reason they heard a child yell, perhaps, where the children may have responded more, especially the child who was 4 may have responded more to the friends than an officer. I don't know, but at some point Spencer's friend, coworker, whoever this guy is, says he could see Spencer lying on the floor beside a bed. There's a body inside. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here. He appears dead. Now, after that, of course, it's like, oh, things got ramped up with the police. More dispatch snippets I've found, and it's really hard to isolate which ones belong to what event. But you can hear the dispatcher saying, look, okay, warning to the people. And they give the wrong home address. They give the address of the next door house. It's on 4th Street. And I won't say their exact address, but they're saying, look, all of you officers dealing with that 4th Street issue, be warned, family members are en route.
4-1. Yeah, I'm going to have a double.
I copy it. 15 copy. You're referring as a double.
I copy. I'll get in a route.
Copy.
4 route.
I copy.
There was a 7A on the back door. I had 3 males inside. They were doing a check, so someone can stop it.
You copy that. 1416 North 4th.
10-3-4. They have 2 22s here.
222. 33.
4 and heading back. I'll start there at Ferry Street on 88, and I'll go up to 31 District for that.
I copy. 1050 Ferry Street. And cars on that 4th Street. Just be advised. Family members en route.
So I'm sure whomever saw Spencer, laying not alive by the bed, I don't know if it was on the first level or where the children's bedrooms were or the nursery or what, but they said, be warned, we have family members en route. And another officer says they have 2 22s here. I don't know if they're talking about this case of the Tepes, but if they are, I'm like, what do they mean? I looked up the Ohio police codes. 22 is regarding an animal. I'm thinking, do they have 2 dogs there? I know they have these doodles. I saw on Monique's Venmo, she had a photo of one of the doodles, and her brother-in-law, he has another photo of the doodle. He talks about, I believe they're from the same litter, but his doodle passed away, so it could not have been 2 dogs, perhaps the ones I'm thinking of, if they're talking about dogs at all. I'm like, 2 22s? Are they calling the kids children 22s? Some codes might be that. Were they speaking of 2 22 caliber guns, weapons that weren't used in the crime? I don't know. Police pretty much ruled this out. They did not tag it as something like, a husband takes out his wife, then takes out himself, because they didn't find a weapon. So people getting confused, like, how do you know it wasn't that? Well, there was no weapon nearby, obviously. Police got a warrant, entered the house, found the children. Thank God the children are okay, but I feel so bad for them. I'm grateful, according to the brother-in-law, the children are fine and being well cared for, along with the dog. Now, I saw online the friend who saw Spencer's body through a window told police he had last spoken to Spencer the day before. I'm trying to confirm that with any, valid news reports. That would make sense if Spencer were last seen that Monday, Monique too, I'm assuming, that Monday, December 29th, if everyone knew they were okay at that point. Columbus police are now looking for, any digital evidence related to the incident, suspicious people, vehicles, and they start with the date, December 30th, which would be Tuesday at midnight, between midnight and 9 a.m., and they give you an area bordered by all these different streets, and they even give people a QR code to upload that evidence to help them with their investigation. You can remain anonymous. You don't need an account. So I plan to put all this info on the screen. So if you know anything or live nearby or heard anything, I'm hearing some crazy rumors. I don't know if they're just theory, speculation. You know how people get with these crime cases. I don't know what's true and what's not, but if you do have valid information, please scan the QR code. I'm glad Columbus Police made it available, made it easy for people to just upload videos, photos, whatever they have there. So all these rumors, was it a robbery? These rumors of schemes, people, they start speculating. Did it have something to do with his profession or something he was into? Was it a love triangle? What is it? I've been digging. So this home is beautiful and pretty pricey. I saw that the home last sold for nearly $500,000 in 2020. That's the same year it was built. And they even had their beautiful wedding in this home. Oh my goodness, their brother-in-law. What a director, cinematographer he is to create the wedding video he did. It's just amazing. So they may have purchased it, if this were them purchasing the new home, for nearly $500,000 in 2020. Currently, the Redfin estimate is more than $700,000 for this 4-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom home. It's on North 4th Street in Columbus. So it is just north of downtown, near some Short North or Wineland Park area. And I've studied the home because I want to see how the perpetrator may have entered. There's no sign of forced entry, so I'm thinking, did someone have a key? Was there a code? Did they know to avoid any Ring cameras? I don't know if it had Ring cameras on the front or the back. Did they sneak through the back way? There's this well-known member on Web Sleuth's Guardian, Mamager. She took a great video to give people a clue of it kind of reminds me of Chicago in a way, the alleys. Some cities don't have alleys, but I'm like, oh, there's an alley. Did the person drive behind the home through an alley and sneak that way? Would it have been darker? Did this person really know the house? I don't know what kind of security there was. Were there motion light sensors or what? It was a new build Wineland Park in Columbus. Beautiful home. It talks about exceptional architecture. We can see it in the wedding video. But I wanted to try and figure out, okay, how many levels? It talks about lower level featuring a 4th bedroom, full bath, a large rec room. So I guess there is a bedroom. I don't know if they mean on the first level. It speaks of the spacious fenced rear yard with a paver patio, 2-car detached garage. That's kind of a dangerous thing. That reminds me of Chicago too, detached garages. They can be dangerous. Let me tell you why. Not necessarily this one, but let me recount a story to you. If you see a detached garage, that means, you might be pulling in all late at night, any hours, then you have to go out. This is like how I grew up in Chicago. When we used the garage and didn't park on the street, which we mostly did, you go in the garage, okay, it's detached, you have to walk through sometimes a dark backyard to then go in your house. That's even more exposure. That can be darker. My mom tells me this story of this woman who in Chicago pulled into her garage. Maybe this guy had been watching her from her rear view mirror. She saw, it's like one of those movies, a guy dip in under her garage as her door was going down. And instead of she was about to, I guess, turn off her car, she could have harmed herself. But anyway, she didn't, I guess. She kind of gunned it. Talk about just trying to save your soul or save your body, save yourself at the last minute. She gunned it and crashed into her own garage front door. She didn't even, I guess, have the presence of mind to throw it in reverse and try and back into whoever that perp was who, sneaked into her garage. She just gunned it through the front. I don't know if it just crashed part of the way through the front or whatever, but it was probably enough time, hopefully, to give that perpetrator, a shock of a would-be victim doing something so unexpected that it saved her life. So, because if someone's, you're pulling into your detached garage and it's not a friend of yours playing a prank and you see them dipping under, to get in your garage, they probably don't have good intentions. So that was my thought seeing this detached garage. Was it someone who always watched Spencer and Monique and knew their routine and knew when they went to bed or when they went in their home? They left the children alive, thankfully. Why? Part of me is was it a woman who did this? Or, I don't know. A lot of people are talking about this Wineland Park neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio, and it could be anything. People are saying, okay, yes, it is undergoing significant gentrification. So someone like me, I hear $700,000 home, I'm thinking, ooh, that's probably nice neighborhood. Some people are thinking, no, it's okay. I've been reading a lot of comments. I hope some of them are truly locals who know what they're talking about. Okay, they're like, okay, no, it's just a block away and then you're in the hood and it's not necessarily so good. But okay, yeah, it could be someone who it's related to the type of bad area or whatever, allegedly. But I feel like, oh, it's much deeper than that. There's something else going on. You know how a shocking crime case always happens and people, they pull out the white van tropes, or they pull out certain tropes about trafficking all the time, or tropes about whatever. And when you really dig into the case and police start getting their evidence, it's usually something totally different. Now, this brother-in-law who's been speaking out, he's pretty amazing, and I should find his name. There it is, Rob Misla. Rob Misla. He's been posting on Facebook and Reddit a lot of useful information. What we're going to learn from him is that the kids slept through it. They weren't aware of what happened. He is married to Spencer's sister. So with Rob being married to Dr. Spencer's sister, he's telling people, Spencer's my brother-in-law. And he'll say my brother-in-law and his wife. And then people got confused, like, well, wouldn't she be your sister? And he's like, no, he had to break it down more. I'm married to Spencer's sister. He called it a calculated and premeditated murder, most likely by a person who knew what they were doing. So that's the vibe, the gist he's getting. At this point in time, today is Friday, January 2nd at 5:30 p.m. As I record this, I've only seen like maybe 2 pressers. They have a really good public information officer down there. He's great. He's been giving great information. He's like a no BS kind of guy. They were asking him, the press was asking him like, oh, should residents be worried? And he's kind of like looking at them like, well, no duh. 2 people got gunned down here and basically we don't have the perp in custody, kind of like, so just be aware. Now, what's interesting, too, is Rob, the brother-in-law, is saying nothing was stolen, nothing was out of place, and there was no sign of a break-in. Now, that's a little bit more than what we knew, because a certain code on a certain form led people to think it was a robbery. So we'll talk about that, too. But Spencer Tepe was this dentist at the Athens Dental Depot. It's at 800 Columbus Road in Athens. And I was like, whoa, that's a haul. All the way from where they lived down to that dental office would have been more than an hour. So no wonder if his coworkers made that drive up. Maybe they were trying to check to see, was he in an accident along the way? I wanted to see what path he might have taken. I guess that's 33. Perhaps he would have taken 33. So maybe his coworkers jumped on 33 and said, let's see if we see Spencer anywhere along the way. Let's go to his house. I don't know. So police responded and they eventually found, of course, Spencer and Monique. There are police cameras people are pointing to about 150 feet from the home. I hope that would give them some good evidence of, some kind of a hint or clue. It does say Spencer had been shot multiple times, according to a radio run log obtained via a public records request, and they found the 2 kids at home, but no indications of, the husband or wife doing the other one in and then doing themselves in. But they wouldn't give much more details than that. It says a police dispatcher report obtained by the Columbus Dispatch December 31st includes mentions of a 41A, which is code for a robbery report. Now, why is that code there? If the brother-in-law is saying nothing was stolen, nothing was out of place. So that's another confusing bit there. But they're looking into it as a double homicide. Yeah. I mean, if they didn't find a weapon right there near the deceased, that was pretty quickly, police could rule that out. Now the children are being cared for by relatives, but let's talk about what Rob has been posting. First of all, he posted to Facebook yesterday, Thursday, January 1st at 12:32 a.m., so he was up late. Basically, he was up past midnight. He said, my brother and sister were the best of the best. Just can't believe that somebody would do this. Love you, Spence and Mo. And he has a broken heart right there. I mean, if you watch this guy's wedding video he created of Monique and Spencer, the wedding video by Rob Misley, like he's a real film director, editor. He's based out of Cincinnati. I'll probably play scenes from it during this video and credit him, attribute him. His link is below. It's just so gorgeous. He's very talented, but it just, to me, it just showed this kind of romantic, almost picture perfect wedding coupling. And then it sounds like Monique's dad speaks at the end. Oh my goodness. I think that's him. He has an accent. I was just like, oh goodness, if he's still on this earth and he has to deal with his daughter gone and all those friends and family you just see in that video, you just pray for them. But I looked up her maiden name, so her name is Monique Frances Tepe. However, her maiden name apparently was Monique Frances Sabatersky, and I did find court records of her having a short-lived marriage before. It reminded me of when I was young and in my 20s and was married for 3 years before. But Monique's date of marriage was August 22nd, 2015, and court records show a divorce, no children, May 2nd, 2017, less than 2 years later. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. I just like researching and trying to get to the bottom of what happened. But some people are finding the 911 call a little weird. I didn't really find it weird. One person called, and I don't know all these people who are calling. I believe one was the owner of the dental practice. And he was saying, I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, he works with me. He didn't show up for work. We can't get a hold of him or his family. This is Valrose. Yeah, that's the owner.
Those who worked with Spencer at the Athens Depot are remembering him. On Facebook, they posted about celebrating his birthday just weeks ago on December 9th. We also talked with Dr. Mark Valrose, who owns the practice. He tells me, quote, "We are deeply saddened by the sudden passing of our colleague and friend, Dr. Spencer Tepe. Our heartfelt condolences are with his family and loved ones during this difficult time. We appreciate the community's thoughts and prayers."
He is always on time, and this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
That's the 911 audio where he was saying, look, Spencer's been reliable. We can't get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house. So some people were finding that odd, but others say it's not odd. He was just letting the cops know, look, I'm on vacation somewhere. I'm away. I'm not like down the street, so I can't drive to Spencer's house and do this wellness check myself. And he's saying this individual, it's Spencer, he's trying to get the facts out. He's saying, look, we can't find him, his wife, anybody that lives in that house. So some people thought, okay, does that mean someone else besides the children live in that house? I don't know. During that wedding video, the speeches, there was one guy who talked about, oh yeah, Spencer and Monique have let me stay here. They've, basically they've fed me. And so maybe they were the type of giving couple who let people just stay with them, but I don't know if, not that I know of, anyone else was staying with them on this fatal night. The caller went on to say, look, he would contact us if there was any issues. We are very, very concerned. This is out of character. We can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing. He might have said it that way, is like, okay, Spencer might be en route. Maybe he got a flat tire. We don't know what's going on with him. Maybe his phone is dead. I'm just pontificating. But he's thinking we can't get in touch with Monique either. Like maybe he's thinking she's usually at home, or taking the kid to preschool. If they go to preschool, I think maybe one of the children does from what I'm reading online. So maybe he was saying that's the more concerning thing. We can't even get in touch with her. Usually she would still be home in the morning or something. Anyway, let's get to Rob's comments on Reddit. He's replying, and I better go in order because I have them out of order. I want to go from the bottom up. Where he was posting, people started sharing the story. Police secure kids after 2 people were killed in a shooting. 4th and 8th Street. That's where Rob wrote, this was my brother-in-law and his wife. We don't have too much information other than it appears to be a targeted attack, not a random break-in or related to the neighborhood. And he's thanking people for their kindness. People got confused about, wait a minute, is that your sister? And he explained it. He's also clearing up confusion about people automatically assume, oh, it's a gentrified neighborhood. That's still the hood. It had to be some crackhead or something, basically just trying to break in there and get what they can get. People flip to the tropes and the stereotypes in their minds. Rob wrote, "My wife and I have stayed at their place literally hundreds of times. The neighborhood was rarely, if ever, even a mild concern. Their place was lovely, with some of the friendliest neighbors I've ever met. This was a targeted hit." So he doubled down on that, and I tend to believe him. He's obviously probably got, of course, more insider information than other people have, us random people out here following the case. Another thing he was able to confirm, this was 3 days ago. He said, "Haven't seen them stated publicly, but their first names were Spencer and Monique." So when a lot of people didn't know that, he was able to write that. Rob clears it up again. "This is correct. Spencer was my brother-in-law. My wife and I would stay at their place at least once a month. Never felt unsafe. While we don't have much info right now, again, everything points to a calculated and premeditated murder by a person who knew what they were doing. Nothing was stolen, nothing was out of place, and there was no sign of a break-in. This clearly wasn't committed by your average street criminal." So he's just baffled. He says it's just baffling why anyone would want to hurt them in any way. Nothing makes sense. And he's thanking other people. "Today has been as bad as they come," he wrote. "My wife and I got the call around 11 a.m., and at that moment, our entire world has been flipped upside down. I don't want to give out all the info I know, as it's an ongoing investigation, but talking about it on here has really been the only thing keeping my mind busy and away from the crushing reality." And then he got a little confused about, well, he did say Spencer's practice was in Athens, so it's not local to Columbus. And I see he's right there because it's so far away. It's like an hour away. I feel like there's some big college in Athens. Is that where the Party University, Ohio University is? I have to confirm that. And some people are like, was there some kind of a jealousy motive? And Rob was like, it's possible, you know. And he also wrote, "I'm not able to talk much about it, but from what we know, the kids slept through it and were unaware of what happened. They are currently safe and in good hands." That's also possible, even though, you know, people are like, who couldn't hear those gunshots? You know, the neighborhood's so dense, houses on top of each other. We don't know if a person used like a suppressor, if this person was kind of like a pro at doing hit jobs like this. And he also cleared up what Monique did for a living, because some people were like, oh, where did Monique work? Because a neighbor had said, oh yeah, Monique, you know, I usually see her when she's leaving for work. I don't know if that person assumed she was leaving for work. I don't know if she usually left while he left for work, or if she was dropping off a child. Rob says Spencer was a dentist. Monique became a stay-at-home mom once their first child was born. That's another thing reminding me of myself. You know, Monique, from what I found, she used to be a senior financial services technical lead at Nationwide, based in Columbus. And it reminds me too, when we had our first child, then I became a stay-at-home mom. So he's saying the kids are with family and in good hands. And he talks about Larry. Larry, the golden doodle, is also with the family. I thought the dog was, do they just call them golden doodles? They look darker, you know, in the photos. Anyway, maybe that was a different dog I saw on Monique's Venmo, but then there was a dog in the wedding video. Anyway, maybe that's a doodle too. Rob said, my wife and I had Larry's litter mate, Walter, for 6 years before he unfortunately passed away. And so, yeah, I did see a photo on Reddit, just kind of proving he is who he says he is. I saw back on Reddit a photo of the dog that passed away. So that must have been Walter. So it's just sad for all this loss. But he says the kids and the dog are very loved and protected. So Monique and Spencer's children and their dog are loved and protected. So I'm grateful. If they had to go through such a tragedy like this, I'm grateful they have all this loving family and friends surrounding them to help try and take care of the children. So I think that's all I have for now. And I'm just waiting for any more press releases or anything. Pressers, hopefully they'll do more pressers. officers, people seem to think, okay, the cops are probably honing in on something because they know, to narrow down, looking for this evidence between midnight and 9 a.m. on December 30th between these border streets, and you can remain anonymous. So let's pray so much that this killer or killers or whomever it is found. I'm not going to get into, the rumors starting to float around, supposedly, the talk of the city, because you kind of don't necessarily know if someone's just trying to troll you, which is unfortunate. Some people jump in these crime cases, and some people are interested only to troll other people and start making up lies. So I don't want to defame anyone. People just start in their head, whatever the police have evidence and whenever they can release it, or, trusted family members like Rob or verifiable people, I give more weight and credence to what they're saying, clearing up confusion. But I pray whoever did this can be really brought to justice right away. You hate to think of such a dangerous person. Whoever would go into a person's home and just so cold-heartedly gun down the young husband and the young wife and leave those children there, a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old. Imagine what if these people had worked from home, or it wasn't the type of couple who, had coworkers checking on them ASAP? I just keep thinking those children could have been in there and starved to death or something, or gotten into something and harmed themselves without knowing it because they were too young to take care of themselves. Thank God for the family and friends they do have, and I pray in Jesus for justice for this couple. It's just very, very sad. But I do hope we get more facts to help, and the public can really help. The public, if they're driving a Tesla and you have, cameras, or you have your Ring camera, or you're out, or who knows what could have gotten picked up. Any clue, real clues can really help find who did this. Psalm 148. Do not grant the wicked their desires, Lord. Do not let their plans succeed. And that is my prayer for this. Whoever did this is wicked, obviously. Whatever situation is going on, to take out two parents like this and their young kids just right there. It's so cold, uncaring, so evil. I pray God doesn't let them, get away with this. But soon, I hope they're found, brought to justice, and go through a trial, and we can just pray the children are raised with the good and positive memories of their parents. You gotta bless God for such videos, and look how important that wedding video, all these beautiful photos of this gorgeous couple, look how important it becomes now. Because as the children are raised in love and, hopefully taught about their parents and what their parents were like, they'll have all these photos and videos to go along with it. So at least the children can have that part of their parents' memory. It's just so sad. But let's keep our eye on this case, and of course many, many others. I'm doing so many cases. I was still reading through Koberger documents, and Will Smith, I purchased that lawsuit today, went over that. A lot of stuff I've been posting on Facebook or posting on Patreon. I can put links to it all below. I think I'll change my description. Again, I hope this microphone is sounding a lot better, rescuing my voice, bless God, from all these videos. Happy New Year to you all, and again, just keep everyone in mind who's struggling right now, because it's difficult to think about people, the weight of what they're going through. Just a tragedy like this, I can't imagine. Pray for them. Thank you all. Keep up with this case, many others. Not all of them, unfortunately, I can do videos for because it takes so long, this research, because I prefer to do it myself. I want to get it right. I want to find the audio. I want to bring you guys this stuff, and just stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Great, take a prostitute. Yeah, I copy. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, so they have the boat command bus. The command post will be on 8th at 4th.
Single bus command bus operators. Need cars at 4th and 7th near northbound. I copy. We still need a mobile bus command bus operator for post 8th and 4th. 4th and 8th no westbound. 5-3 is going to take 4th and 7th no northbound. 9100 is going to 8th and 5th no westbound.
Got it.
We need car at 9th and 4th no southbound. 33.
180.
Copy.
And if you only go 5-4, then I'll go up to the 8 a.m. 31.
I copy. The 8A. 3714 Weston Place.
That's 34. What house are you in?
1415.
Yeah.